Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin dominance. Surprise, surprise. One shining moment. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Before we jump in, I wanted to congratulate the person who came in first in the Into the Basketball Verse bracket challenge for the NCAA tournament. They came in first by only 10 points. A number of you had UConn winning, but one person stood above the rest with 1,170 points. So that person, of course, will be winning a 1-year subscription to ITC or Into the Cryptoverse. So congratulations again to that person. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about the Bitcoin dominance. We are around that 49% threshold. We've talked about the significance of that 49% threshold for a long time. If you look at the dominance closely, it can sometimes glitch in the short term where like it says it went to a certain level, but it didn't, and so on and so forth. But the point is we saw last night it went to around the 49% level, right? And even sometime today it went down to the 49% level. So we have reached this prior level from back over here. This is a pretty important level or a line in the sand for the Bitcoin dominance. Do note that what got us into this range a long time ago was in fact a major sell-off maybe not sell-off, but just a flow of money into the altcoin market, sort of leaving Bitcoin after Bitcoin's parabolic rally. And that's sort of what got us down into this range in the first place. And now we find ourselves at a very similar spot, but we are potentially trying to press higher here. Do note that we've already taken out the high from June of 2022 and the high from October of 2021, and now we're sitting right around that high from the summer of 2021. I would also point out that during the last cycle, when we finally saw the dominance surge higher, if you sort of zoom in on some of the lower time frames, you'll note that we kind of flirted with this range for a little while before breaking through it, right? We came up to the prior range high on the Bitcoin dominance that we hit in March of 2018. It took us until July 2018 to get there, and we kind of flirted with that level until August. So it took about a full month for us to, maybe not quite a full month. This was late July, and then we were out of it by maybe the middle part of August, so maybe 2 or 3 weeks is the amount of time we were flirting with that level. But ultimately, the dominance broke up to much higher levels. Do note that the rally by Bitcoin USD back then ended right around that point where it basically came back up to the range highs and sort of it sort of remained somewhat stagnant for a couple weeks or so, and then the dominance continued to push much higher. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the altcoin market in general, and we've talked about this quite a lot. And if you go take a look at Total 3, which is the altcoin market, you will still see that even though Bitcoin broke above its November 2021 high the November 2022 high long ago, and Ethereum did as well, Total 3, which is the altcoin market, has been unable to do so. And in the context of some analogies in the NBA, the altcoin market, they're just bus riders, right? Like, they're not driving the bus. You can't tell me you're the king of the cryptoverse if Bitcoin pulling back can slow you down. It just doesn't work like that. And I think some counterpoints to that are, well, maybe is Ethereum driving the bus, right? Is Ethereum driving the bus? And my retort to that, once again, is what happened when Ethereum was driving the bus back during the merge. It still just simply put in a lower high on its Bitcoin pair. Again, not really representative of the asset that's driving the bus. It's more a representative of an asset that is a bus rider, in my opinion. Okay, we've seen it play out time and time again where Bitcoin USD rallies for a while. The rest of the market can rally a little bit beyond it, but if Bitcoin starts to go back the other direction, it's going to pull everything back down with it, right? So remember, Bitcoin drives the bus. Everything else, They're just bus riders along for the ride. That's all it is. Okay, and I don't really think it's anything more. And again, another point that I'll make as well is looking at say Bitcoin USD and looking at when Ethereum really joined into the cryptoverse in 2015. And my response is that Ethereum is not really the MVP here when you basically had Bitcoin already up 30 million% before Ethereum even joined the cryptoverse, right? So you can't say you're the MVP when you join an asset class that's already up 30 million% or so. And that's just Bitcoin. So I do think it's important for us to recognize that Bitcoin is driving the bus, and the altcoin market, they're the bus riders, right? Yes, they're going to go up in a bull market, but so what, right? You're going to see assets in general go up in a bull market, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're driving the bus. They are simply bus riders. They are along for the ride, and there's a good chance that they're going to miss the ride next time. Okay, so in 2024, 2025, a good chance some of the altcoins that you really like, they could miss the bus on the next one. But guess who's going to be driving the bus? Guess who's driving the bus now? Guess who's going to be driving the bus in 2024 and in 2025 and so on and so forth? It's Bitcoin. Bitcoin drives the bus. Everything else is a bus rider. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance, we are currently sitting at just below 49%. So again, we did a couple live streams recently watching this. We came back up to the range highs. Consolidation is fine. We've said that many times. We consolidated here for a while before breaking out, and here before breaking out, and here before breaking out. And now that we find ourselves at the range high, I know some people are getting nervous, but I would still argue that this in general is likely going to break before too long. Okay, I don't think that I don't think there's the narrative is there to bring the dominance back down to the lower levels. And again, the other point to consider as well is the dominance excluding stable coins, right? We've always talked about that, and it's probably a better way to sort of measure the Bitcoin dominance in general is to measure it excluding stable coins, and you'll see that when you exclude the stablecoin market, it's currently at 52.8%. Now, the highest it went back in June of 2022 was around 55.3%. So maybe about 2.5% higher than where it currently is, which also could be an important milestone for the dominance to get past. On excluding stables, it would need to go up another 2.5% or so. But again, something to consider. And then the last thing I would like to look at here is the workbench, the Bitcoin dominance comparison. You can see that the dominance metrics, including and excluding stablecoins, are starting to converge. The reason for that, as we've mentioned, is if you look at the stablecoin market cap, let's just say USDT plus USDC plus DAI plus BUSD, one of the things you'll note is that it continues to sort of slowly trend down. So the market cap of the stablecoin market is trending down, and despite, and because of that, we are seeing the convergence of the Bitcoin dominance metrics with and without stablecoins. And this is why I said long ago, I know people like the one with stablecoins, and know some people like the one without them, but at the end of the day, they're both going to go up, right? Because the stablecoin market cap is going down, and I'm not saying they're going to completely converge, but they could. But at least you'll see them get much closer. And another way to visualize that is to just simply add a formula over here and take M3 minus M2, so the dominance without stablecoins minus the dominance with, and evaluate that, put it on a linear scale, and then hide everything else. And again, you can see that the delta between these two metrics is continuing to go down. At one point, the dominance difference between the two metrics was, about 9.61%. Now the difference is less than 6%, maybe about 5.6%. So they are getting pretty close. I think that they will likely continue to converge to one another. So the moral of the story, really, for all this is that the dominance continues to push higher, despite proclamations by many that it won't. The idea that many have put forth about this time being different for Ethereum has just simply been not true. Every time that it pushes higher, it is nothing more than a lower high, and it has been not only since the merge. The most common form of criticism that I see, and it's fair, is that, well, you're not considering the new tokenomics of Ethereum, right? You're not taking that into account. I would argue, the market did take that into account, and it still has been nothing more than lower highs since the merge. Furthermore, the merge was a lower high as measured from the bull market phase back at Ethereum Bitcoin's peak back at the end of 2021. So when did Ethereum Bitcoin peak? Right around the time that Bitcoin USD did. That's what I'm saying. Bitcoin is the bus driver. Everything else, they're bus riders, and they just stick along for the ride. So we'll see where Ethereum ultimately ends up. But I'm guessing that you're going to see at some point this year, I'm guessing you're going to see this move back down to the 0.03 to 0.04 level. Of course, it's not going to move there in a linear fashion. You should expect it to be somewhat of a stochastic process. Anytime we get any type of a pump on the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation, it causes a lot of people to sort of second guess everything in this entire trend. But just look at the trend, right? It's just been one lower high after another for basically for a year and a half. And an inconvenient truth is that Ethereum's valuation against Bitcoin has been putting in lower highs since 2017. Devil's advocate, it's also been putting in higher lows. Stay tuned until 2026 where we figure out what way it's going to ultimately break. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and again, check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. See you guys next time. Bye.